Fox News propagandist Sean Hannity was interviewing 2024 Republican presidential candidate Nikki Haley last night as news of this Lewiston, Maine shooting was breaking. What we know now is that somewhere between 18 and 22 people at least have been killed. There are some who were believed to be in critical condition. I don't know the status of them. I don't know if those 4 critical condition victims, I don't know their status. Somewhere between 50 and 60 victims. So Fox News propagandist brings on Nikki Haley. And of course, this topic comes up. And Sean Hannity, as they are awaiting a press conference from Lewiston, Maine, says that part of his plan to avoid getting shot involves martial arts. I guess he thinks that karate may be something that helps him prevent being the victim of a shooting. These are insane conversations from people who either have no knowledge or interest in actually doing something real to prevent mass shootings. You've got, it's the peanut gallery. You've got Hannity talking about martial arts, and then later we'll hear Nikki Haley talking about sanctuary cities, as if that's what this is about. Take a listen to this.
People. What bothers me, and I could literally probably count the seconds before an incident like this becomes politicized. And that part of it I never like, because that's not going to bring back lives.
Now, I want to say one thing before we get to Hannity's plan for self-defense here. When they say this is going to become politicized, he means people will say we need gun safety laws. However, it's just as politicizing after a shooting to say we don't need to consider any gun safety laws. Being on the side of saying we need the laws is no more or less political than saying we don't need any gun safety laws. But that seems to go over his head. But now let's get to his self-defense plan.
And then I always ask the question, when something like this happens, what is your plan? What do you do?
Right.
I have a personal security plan. I train in mixed martial arts. I've been a big believer in the Second Amendment for a long time, with the prayer that I never would have to use it. Maine happens to be a rural area where people tend to be involved in outdoor sports. So I would imagine a lot of people are going to have a lot of defense issues.
All right. So I guess he's saying his plan is guns and martial arts. Excuse me. It's not just martial arts. But okay, I mean, good for Hannity. And I'm sure that as a Fox News host, he also has access to other forms of security when he's in public events. So then you get to Nikki Haley. Now, I think it's important to mention, it is so dysfunctional. It is so dysfunctional to know that we could simply live in communities where guns are far more rare. We could. And where they're restricted in terms of magazine capacity and which guns you can have and how quickly you can get them and what's required to be licensed and whether they get taken away if you've had interactions of certain kinds with the mental health system. We could do that. But instead, it's I'll get my own guns and also learn karate. Wow, that doesn't really seem like what's best for society, though. Okay, now we go to Nikki Haley. And Nikki Haley, on the topic of the mass shooting, talks about sanctuary cities, which is really weird.
So I would imagine a lot of people are going to have a lot of defense issues. But the bigger question, what do you see as the underlying cause of a lot of these shootings?
I mean, first of all, Sean, I'll tell you, the world is on fire. I mean, we see it. We see it with wars around the world.
Okay, so first answer has nothing to do. Now we're talking foreign policy. This is a very specific mass shooting by an individual who probably shouldn't have had guns, with a history, from what we're reading, of mental health problems. What does foreign policy have to do with it?
We see it in our schools. We see it with protests on college campuses. We're seeing it here. But what does this come down to? We have got to start really getting focused and serious. That means we need serious law and order. That means that we need to defund sanctuary cities. But that means we need to acknowledge the cancer in America that is mental health. 1 in 3 Americans suffers from mental health. If treated, they can live a perfectly normal life. If not, it spirals out. We see more and more young people suffering from stress, depression, and that's leading to addiction. We don't have enough mental health therapists, we don't have enough mental health treatment centers, and we don't have enough addiction centers. And what I'll tell you is we're watching now, 80% of our mass shootings are mental health related. So.
Okay. Now, there's a few things in there. The entire sanctuary city thing is a complete and total red herring. It has nothing to do with this. We're talking about Maine, a state that is relatively rural by its nature. This just has nothing to do with sanctuary cities at all. It's just going through her talking points. Now, I agree with her that in a sense, anyone who is willing to go out and commit mass murder like this has a mental health problem. Now, this is a different question from, are they competent to stand trial? Are you competent to stand trial? Are you not guilty by reason of insanity in a criminal setting? That's different than, of course, no mentally healthy person is going to commit such an act. So the idea that, oh, so many of these things are mental health related, they want you to believe it's only about mental health rather than also being about guns and about gun culture and so many other things. But the real hypocrisy is that Nikki Haley bemoans, we don't have enough therapists and we don't have enough clinics. And Republicans don't want to fund those things. Republicans are okay with health insurance companies considering mental health treatment totally separate, reimbursing differently or to a lesser degree or not at all. They are part of the problem by not making it so that it is easier and more affordable to have access to also, by the way, create earlier stages of intervention. Part of the idea of, when there are certain nonviolent related calls to police, maybe a therapist shows up rather than an armed officer, or maybe they show up together. All of these are mental health ideas that they allude to vaguely whenever they don't want to talk about gun safety, but they don't actually want to fund in any serious way. So red herrings, distractions, whataboutism, and also double standards by saying, here's the problem. Oh, okay, well, let's fund a solution. Oh, no, we can't afford that. That sounds like communism. That sounds like socialism. These are not serious people. We are not going to get solutions with these people. We have to try to get solutions despite them by either circumventing them or finding some other way for them to not stand in the way of what we know needs to be done. So as far as the details of the shooting, we've gone over everything I know at this point. Hopefully within a very short period of time, they're going to catch this guy. We will then start the grieving process, learning the full scope of the damage that was done, learning what went wrong, and then hearing Republicans tell us, even though clearly something did go wrong, we don't really have to do any kind of fixes because those would be infringements on the Second Amendment. That's the cycle. That's what happens every single time. If you sit all day long while you work and you've never tried a desk that can transition between sitting and standing, it really is a game changer. I've had an uplift desk for a while. I use it every day to record the show, prepare for the show, do my office work. I'm sitting at an uplift desk at this very moment, and I've been using uplift desks for many years. We wanted them to be a sponsor, and we finally were able to make it happen. Standing while I work helps me get the creative juices flowing. I feel more productive. I'm focused. I'm more alert. And it's also healthier. I'm just moving around more. My circulation is better, which is just good for your health. I use the uplift standing desks because they don't wobble. Totally stable, even with all of my show equipment on them. The build quality is just tremendous. And you can completely customize the desk by choosing from over 100 desktop choices, hundreds of accessories. I have a whole bunch of them, including a USB hub and a keyboard tray and all sorts of things. They have free shipping, free returns, free return shipping, and an industry-leading 15-year warranty. My audience gets 5% off when you go to upliftdesk.com/Pacman and use the code Pacman. The link is down below.